You're welcome to yet another tutorial. So in this tutorial we're making that beautiful gown we saw earlier in the video. So to make this gown we'll be needing a zipper. I'm using 4 yards of Ankara fabric. You can manage 3. I have my crepe here, 1.5 yards of crepe. So let's get into the cutting. And a black thread with your zipper. Now I'm going to fold my fabric. I'm going to cut the upper part first. So yeah, I'm going to fold my fabric into 2 for the front part this way. So for me to know what to fold, I'm going to consider my hip measurement. My hip is 42 divided by 4, that gives us 10.5. Then I'll add 1.5 for sewing allowance, that makes it 12 inches. So I'll be folding 12 inches. Okay, now I have 12 inches. Now for me to know my length, I'm going to stop the length of the dress for this black material on my hip length. My hip length is 24, so I'll be adding 2 inches to it. 1 inch is going to be half for joining at the shoulder, then half for joining the skirt part to it. Then the other 1 inch is just to make it come down a bit down from my hip length. So yeah, I'll take my measurement of 26. Okay, yeah, it's 26. So this is going to be my down part. Then I'll mark it out. Now after marking it out, I'll go ahead and take my shoulder measurement. Take my shoulder measurement. My shoulder is, let me confirm my measurement again if I still have to. Okay, good. My shoulder measurement is 13. So half of 13 is 6.5. So I'll mark 6.5. Then I'll add half inch for joining the sleeve to it, making 7. So I'll make a straight line. Then from that point, I'll come down by 1 inch to make a shoulder slope. So I'll mark my neck width. My neck width is 2.5. Then I'll connect the lines together this way. So after connecting the line together, I go ahead and take my armhole measurement. My armhole measurement is 8. So I'll come down, measure 8, then go this way. Then from here, I will take my bust measurement. My bust measurement is 36. 36 divided by 4, that's 9 inches. So I'll mark 9 inches. Then I'll add 1.5 for sewing allowance. Now I'll go down again. I'll measure my half length. My half length is 15. So from my half length 15 here, I'll mark out my waist measurement. My waist is 32. 32 divided by 4, that's 8 inches. So I'll mark 8 inches. I'm going to add 1 inch for that allowance. Then I'll add 1.5 for sewing allowance. Then I'll come to the hem side. I'll measure my hip length, which is 26 here. So I'll add, from here I'll measure my hip. My hip measurement is 42. So 42 divided by 4, that's 10.5. Then I will add 1.5 for the sewing allowance. So now we are good to go. I'm going to connect those 3 lines together using my ruler. From here like this. Then this way, because this is where my hip is, so supposed to go this way. So now I'll go ahead and mark out my armhole. Now to mark out my armhole here, I'll come down by half of the armhole length, which is 4 inches. Then from 4 inches, I'll come in by 0.5. Then I'll draw out my armhole. I'll draw a straight line to the armhole length. Then I'll use my cuff, my armhole cuff, to connect this 3 together. This for the front armhole, because I'll be using this front part to cut out the back part. So I'll also cut out my back armhole. So for the back armhole, I'm not going to go in by anything. So I'll just connect the line this way. Now it's connected. Then I'll come to the neck width. I want my neck width for the back to be 1.5. Then I'll use my cuff to join it together, to cuff it together. So this is 1.5. Then my back, my front neck line, I want it to be 4 inches. So 4 inches. Then I'll draw a cuff this way. So we are good to go. Now I can cut out the front part, but I will use the back line to first cut out the front part before cutting the back part. So just watch the way I cut it out. So I have this, I'll keep this aside, then I'll arrange my fabric again to cut out the back dress. So for this, I'll fold my fabric again into 2, leaving my zipper allowance. Now I'll fold my fabric into 2 again. So I'll be placing the front bodies on it like this, leaving my zipper allowance. So this space I'm leaving here now is my zipper allowance. Then let's still move it forward. So I left like, let's measure, I'm leaving like 1.5 for my zipper allowance here. So this 1.5 is going to be my zipper allowance. Then I'll come down by my back depth. My back depth is always 17. So from this 17, I'll go in by ½ inch. So from this ½ inch, I'm going to connect it to my, I'm going to connect it to my hip line, then connect it up here this way. This will prevent the dress from bulging at the back. So to make it lay very well. Now I can cut out. I'll try and trim this part out. It's back now. I'll keep this aside. Then I'll come back to the front and cut out the armhole for the front. Then the neckline for the front also. You can decide to use any neckline that you wishes to. So now I'm done with the front. Now I have to quickly cut out the darts, shape out the dart. I'm not cutting it out, sorry. So to shape the darts, my dart line is 4 inches. So I'll draw a straight line this way. My bust point is 10 inches. So I'll measure 10 inches from the top here. So here is 10 inches. I'll not start my dart exactly from 10 inches. I'll come down by 1 inch. So I'm going to use 11 inches. My under bust is 13 inches because I'll be joining half up. So I'll just mark here 13.5. Then this is 13.5. Then I will now go down by my half length, which is 15 inches. I'll use 50.5. Then from there I'll come down by 4 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is how my dart is going to go. Then at this under bust, because the under bust is more tinier than the half length, so I will take more darts than what I'll take on my half length. At my half length, I'll just go in by ½ inch forward, ½ inch outward. Then here I'll go by, I'll use 0.75, then 0.75 on this side too. So I'll connect. So this is my darts for the front. I'm going to turn this over so that the dart line can appear on the other side too, and to be at the same part, not that one will be higher than the other. So I will just try and create an impression here like this. Now let me see. So you can see the line is already here, so I'll just go ahead, use my chalk and trace it out. So this is my dart for the front. I'll do the same thing for the back also. I'll get my dart line. Now for the back, I'm going to, don't forget that we have, okay, let me just come here where I did not take anything. We have zip allowance 1.5, so I'll go in this way. This is where my dart line is going to be. Then my dart for the back is going to start from 7 inches. I need to start from 7 inches here. Then my half length, which I'm using 50.5. Then from there I'll count 5 inches downward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So here is where my dart is going to stop. Then I'll come to my half length. I'll measure ½ inch in and ½ inch out. So I will now connect it together like this. So I will still do the same thing. I'll flip it over so that I can create the impression of the chalk on the other parts. So here is the line, so I can easily draw it out with my chalk. I think the tracing is not obvious enough. Okay, so we are done with the upper bodies. Now we go on to the sleeve. To cut out the sleeve, I want to make a puff sleeve. So it's going to be a short puff sleeve. Now you can, depending on the fabric available for you. So for me, this is what I have left, and I want to try and manage it. So this is what I'm going to be using for my puff sleeve. It's depending on whatever you have available to you. If you want it to be like, I want it to be longer, you can just use this part like this, then you cut out your sleeve so it will be long. But if you want it to be more full and puffy, you just fold it this way. See that it's now longer hand. then this way into 4 like this. So when I cut out, I'm going to cut out my sleeve from here. Okay, let me just use my cap sleeve is always 4, so I'll measure 4 here too. So from here I'll just try and make a wider curve like this, then just come down like this. That's all for my puff sleeve. So I will notch out this part, then I'll open it up because it's 2 sleeve. Okay, we are good to go. So this is what we have for the sleeve. Now let's go on to the skirt part. For the skirt part, I have 4 yards of fabric here. Now my total gown length is 57. So, and I've cut out 25 for the upper part. I mean 24 for the upper part. So I will be needing, for my skirt part, I'll be needing, that will be 57 minus 25. That's 30 minus 24. I mean 57 minus 24. That's 20. Sorry, that's 33. So that 33, I will add 2 inches for hemming and joining the skirt part to the upper bodies. So that makes it 25. So I just, depending on how full you want your skirt part to be. If you want it to be very full, you can use the whole 4 yards. If you want it not so full, you can use lesser. But for me, I'll be using the whole 4 yards. So this is my 4 yards. Then I'll be cutting out 25 for the skirt, 35 for the skirt part. I mean, I just have to measure out 35 inches. Or sometimes if you're not good at calculation, what you just do is that this is your fabric. You just measure out the 24 inches that you use for the, first of all, I would like to, I can still leave this part because it's going to be at the bottom. So just cut out this, the 24 you've measured up before. Then from there, you measure out your 57. So instead of 57, I'll be using 59 because I said I'll be using half 2 inches for the hemming allowance. So just cut out the 57 here. So this is a 57. Now I'll cut this part out. Be my skirt part for the dress. Now this remaining fabric is going to be for my gele. It's not compulsory. If you have anything you want to do with it, just, so me, I'll just go ahead, cut this into 2, then extend it like this, sew it together at the center this way. So that is enough for me. Then now let's go into the sewing aspect. Now for the sewing, I'll first go ahead and hold my darts. I'll not be lining this dress. The reason why I'm not lining this upper bodies is because the fabric is thick crepe. I'm using thick crepe. Assuming the crepe I'm using is light now, I'll line it. But if you think you still want to line it, you can go ahead and line yours. But for me, I won't be lining this. So if you line it, you just use your lining to turn the neck. There won't be need for. So after using your lining to turn the neck, then that's when you can now hold your darts. But for me, I'm not lining this. So I'll just go ahead and hold my darts this way. Then I will sew from here down to this part. Do the same thing for this other part. Then I will use bias to turn the neck for this. I will also do the same for the back too. I will hold my darts first, then use bias to turn the neck. Then after that, I will go to my sleeve. Because I want it to be a puff sleeve, I have to put elastic casing here. I'm using 1/2 inch elastic. So I will just hold it this way, 1/2 inch. I'll bend 1/2 inch, then I'll bend like 0.75 this way. So you just make enough space for your casing to pass. I'm using 1/2 inch elastic, so it will pass through here. So then I will go ahead and sew down for the 2 sleeves. Then when I'm done doing turning my when I'm done piping the neckline, I will join them together at the shoulder. I'll weave it, then I'll come back to show us the next step. Okay, I'm done sewing my darts. Look at, I've sewn the darts, then I've turn out the neck neatly, so this way. Then the next step, now I've also formed my casing for the zipper. Now the next step to do now is to go ahead and attach my sleeve to the bodies. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start sewing from here like this. I will start sewing from here, then I'll go, when I get to like 2 inches away from the joining here, then I'll start plaiting it. I'll plait everything I have till I get to this part that I notch. When I get, it must get here, then I'll do the same thing for this side too. I'll plait whatever I plait there, then to like 2 inches from the joining, then the rest I'll just sew this way. So when I'm done sewing the 2 sides of the sleeve, I will now attach my elastic. I will now fix my elastic in the casing. You can fix the elastic in the casing before sewing, or you can fix it after sewing, whichever way is okay for you. Sorry, you can fix the elastic both, whichever way is okay for you. Either you fix it to the casing before sewing or after sewing. So for this now, I'm going to measure out. My round sleeve is 12 inches, so I'm going to measure 10 inches for the elastic. So I just measure 10, 2 for 2 sides, 10. So when I've measured out 10 this way, I will now go ahead and insert it into this casing. When I insert it, it will gather it together to form that puff I want from it. Then after that, I will go on to my skirt part. This is my skirt part. I'm going to draw gather stitch. I'm going to draw a gather stitch around it, then I'll gather it together to get to, then I'll bring it back to show us. And before I go ahead also, I will go ahead and sew this my zip allowance for the back. I'm just going to close it up like this, my zipper allowance, and fix my zip there. So I'll close it up. I'm using size 24 zip. So since I'm using size 24 zip, I'll just measure 22. So from here like this is where 22 is. So when I sew 1.5 inch to this part, I'll give it a knot. After knotting it, then I'll fix my zip. Well, and I'll also weave this edge, but because so I'll go and do that, then I'll come back to show us the next step. And now I'm done attaching the sleeve. See how the sleeve is splitted around here. Then I also pass my elastic inside the elastic casing. I also went ahead to sew to hold this zipper sides, because that's what the zip I'll be fixing lax for this dress. Now I'll go ahead and sew using my measurements. I'm going to measure from here. I'm going to sew from here using 1 inch. You know, I added 1.5 inch to it, so I will be confirming my measurement again like this. My bust is 36, half of 36 is 18 inches. So I'll mark what I have here. I'll check what I have here. So this is 21. I need 18 inches. So I'm going to mark 1.5 here, then 1.5 here also. So then I'll go to my waist. My waist is here. My waist is 38. half of 30, I mean 32, half of 32 is 16. So I have 19 here. So I'll measure, mark 1.5 here and also 1.5 here. Then I'll come to my hip length. My hip is 42, half of 42 is 21. So what do I have here? I have 24. So I'll mark 1.5 here and also 1.5 here. Then I'll go ahead and sew, connecting these lines together. I'll go ahead and sew. Yeah. Then from my sleeve, like this, into the line. So I'll sew this side, then I'll sew that side. After sewing, I'll come back to show us the next step. Okay, now I'm done sewing the two sides. Then here we have, and I've also weaved the side. You know, if you're putting lining, you don't need to weave anything. So here it is looking like a blouse. It's already giving us the shape we want. So now I'll go ahead. That's I not sew to this part. I'll go ahead and take my lower part. Now this is the right side. I'll make it right side facing right side. I've gathered my fabric. I've gathered it using, you know, if you want to do yours, just measure round what you have round, measure it round to this point from here, and then that's how you should gather your skirt part. You should gather your skirt parts for that measurement that you have after measuring it. Then I will now go ahead, right side facing right side. Here is my right side. Then I'll fix it to this right side like this. This is my right side, so it's going to go this way, like this. So I'll place it this way, then I will arrange it very, making sure that the gathers are equal on all sides. Then I will sew around. After sewing, I'll weave it. Then I'll close it up. I'll come back to show us next step. Hey guys, I've attached the lower parts to this. So I've attached it around like this. This is the right side. I'm still going to use iron to remove this, or I use machine oil to remove this. Then now I will go ahead and stitch it up to the end like this. I'll stitch it up to the end. From here I'll stitch till I get here. Then when I'm done stitching, I'll go ahead and fold my 2 inches that I had earlier for the hemming allowance. So I'll fold this way, then sew it round. That brings us to the end of the tutorial. So let me go and do that and come back to show us the final look. Guys, we finally come to the end of the tutorial. So here is my dress. I'll wear it, hold it down, then I'll flip it over to the right side so that we can see how it looks like. If you're yet to subscribe to my channel, please do. That help us grow. And if you like this video, if you watched this, and please give this video a like. And if you have any question, I'll be in the comment section to answer all your questions. So this is the final look. We are done, and you can see how pretty it's looking like. See you in the next tutorial. So for now, I say bye.